Thank you. Thank you. Your Highness, Excellencies, it's really an honor to be back here in Doha and to be part of Art of Tomorrow. And I know that the title, Technology, Creativity, and the City, over the years I've used many different types of technology with my work. And what I'd like to do today, though, is to speak about what I view of my interests of the work, why I make the work, and more of its philosophical basis. But during questions and answers, if you want to speak about a particular type of technology, how I create things, it's a pleasure. This is the first work that I'm showing. It's Inflatable Rabbit, Inflatable Flower. It's from 1979. And when I look at a piece like this, I'm thinking about philosophy. I'm thinking about Nietzsche. I'm thinking about Hegel. I'm thinking about reflection. I'm thinking about semblance, essence. The piece automatically, the inflatable flowers are reflecting themselves into the mirror. So you have the basis of reproductivity here. You have art trying to emulate life's energy, to become life itself. You have a dialogue taking place about anthropomorphic, of inside, outside. If you think of John Dewey, how you infect your environment, but your environment affects you. The type of abstraction that takes place, when you look at the inflatable flower, you notice that you're completely dependent upon to participate in the piece. If you move, the abstraction changes. The reflection of the object within the mirror is completely dependent upon you. When we take a breath, we fill ourselves up with life energy. So you have these objects which are inflated. They're in relation to us as breathing machines. When we exhale, it's a symbol of death. So you have this type of optimism. You have this hyper-colorization of the piece. Again, this idea of essence and at the same time a semblance. So what is real and what is just kind of an illusion of reality, but always trying to become life's energy itself. Now, this is kind of an untitled inflatable flowers. You start to deal with more of the philosophy of Platonism and the idea of pure forms and of mathematics and abstraction. But in a work like this, you have almost three different levels of existence. You have this external kind of ring around the piece, which reflects you, the viewer. You walk up to it, you're going to notice your environment. You have this inner ring in which the flowers are reflecting within the mirror itself. And then you have the inflatable flowers themselves. So you have kind of like three different levels of essence and a semblance. The purity of the reflectivity, and again, everything comes back to the idea of reproduction, of an object reproducing, art trying to become life. This is from 1979. This is Hoover's Celebrity, New Hoover's Celebrity. I've incorporated light into the pieces. This again is dealing with sheen and shone and shine, everything coming out of kind of a divine type of entity of light energy. And then with the type of reflections that take place upon that, or the idea of a new object, the sheen that comes from it, everything comes back to like a Apollo type of surface of identity with the divine. This is an object that you have electricity being used to help support this kind of glow of light, But at the same time, the object is not plugged in. It's outside that kind of circuit of energy, but it's the object which is being focused upon and is displaying its newness, its ultimate kind of state of being, that it's not participating. But it is picking up some of the reflection, the shine from the light. Anthropomorphic again, because it's a breathing machine, it's a vacuum cleaner. Something which, if it would be used, it would be very dirty. You would notice that it's kind of had its integrity already used, where its birth, its integrity comes from its birth, of being pure and not participating. This is a double-decker, New Sheldon wet-dry double-decker. During this time, I started to become involved with Kierkegaard and existential philosophy. So wet-dry, either or, being and nothingness. So everything taking place here is also dealing with reproductivity again. You have multiples, you have objects stacked on top of each other. You have the reflection of the object within the case. You have, again, sheen, you have shine. So you have all these different aspects of kind of divine energy. Taking this Kierkegaard philosophy, I move into, again, this idea of either or, equilibrium. Here, in looking at a tank, what is really the true essence of the piece? Is it the totality of the work? Does the basketball outside the water really have the essence of a basketball, really defining the reality of its state? Or is it the reflected part which becomes distorted and enlarged through the water, the index of refraction of the water? Or if you turn around and you move around the tank, you'll see that the balls become reflected in the side of the glass, becomes like a mirror. Even the stand itself becomes a negative for the tank itself. You have this kind of masculine, feminine energy. Analytical, and just a sense of beauty. I start to work with casting materials. This is Italian woman. Italian woman also is completely dependent upon reflective light. And it's a false luxury. It's made out of stainless steel, a very proletarian kind of material. But it also, at the same time, when you look at it, you feel this transcendence. You feel this effect of movement and transcending. Again, completely dependent upon sheen and shine and kind of Apollo type of energy. And also, as far as like Nietzsche, in Birth of Tragedy, you also have Dionysian type of energy. The two of them merging together, Apollo and Dionysus. You have the masculine and the feminine together. The moon is reflected light. The sun is kind of an energy source, Apollo, but the moon's reflective light. This deals completely upon reflective light. This is the rabbit. The rabbit, when I see it immediately, I think of a gazing ball that you would see in somebody's yard. A gazing ball comes from 1500s, but more recently, Victorian times. Was reintroduced by King Ludwig of Bavaria and popularized. But a gazing ball is a lawn ornament that somebody will put in their yard. And so it works like a GPS system. It tells you where you are in your environment, where you are in the universe. And so it's informing you about that. The work is also affirming you about your existence. Everything is dependent upon your affirmation. And that when you move, again, the abstraction changes, as in every reflection that we've been dealing with so far. And the rabbit is also very iconic because its essence continues to shift. What is its real being? Is it a rabbit? Is it some other type of figure? It continues to shift. The balloon dog now has color. And in the ancient times, everything, the 2D and the 3D were together. If you would look at the antique works, they were all polychromed, but this coloring of it also gives a darker interior to the inside. The balloon dog has a mythic quality to it. On the outside, you have one essence of kind of the membrane to the piece, but then you have the internal life of the piece. And it's mythic. It's like a Trojan horse. Even though it's a dog, it has this equestrian type of quality to it. It also feels tied to humanism, to kind of a cultural history, because if you think back to like Paleolithic times, and maybe the people would make something like this, they would probably have made it out of something like intestine, where they would notice that in the natural world, that things would change. Maybe if they would see something that the gases would start to fill up within the membrane, intestine or stomach of something. So you feel tied to human history, even though it's so externalized when you look at it. This is a vase of flowers. The vase of flowers, to me, seems like a very kind of communal type of event. It's fragmented. You have the self, you see the self reflected, but then you have a fragmentation. You have energy, you have life energy, but it's been domesticated. These flowers have been cut. They've been put into a vase. But at the same time, there's always a sense of hope. And it's a hope through a sense of community that the community is kind of greater than the self. Everything dealing with reflection and shine, always keeping in contact with Apolloan type of energy. And you have Apollo and Dionysus here. This is ballerinas. Ballerinas is a large sculpture about 100 inches tall. Connectivity. And everything that I've been speaking about, like intentions and having kind of a philosophical discourse taking place in the work, connectivity, always making different references to things. And the more reference that one object or image can make, again, the more that it emulates life energy. I look at this and I think of Courbet and how Courbet would make different relationships between people. And I look at the woman with her hands like this, the one ballerina, and I think about what's inside those hands. And it's everything. Everything is inside those hands. It's a contemplation of everything. And you be able to go into the state of this type of questioning, of reflection, and what it means to be a human being, and objectivity through the source of light and shine, and being able to feel this essence of kind of energies that are tied with divine. This is multicolored, similar to pieces from antique times. This is a gazing ball sculpture. It's called Bird Bath. Like the head of the rabbit, it's a gazing ball, it's a ready-made. Everything that we've been looking at so far has been a ready-made. And the reason I work with ready-mades, because it's about acceptance, that everything's already here and everything's already perfect in its own being. And if you just open yourself up to everything, everything's at your disposal to be incorporated. That's objective art to me. When you make judgment, then you start to exclude. You segregate and you disempower. So this automatically affirms you. You see your reflection. The object also becomes affirmed. You can see the bird bath, which is being reflected into the ball there. The bird bath falls into the shadows of itself, and you go from kind of a Dionysian excitement of the senses when you look at a piece like this. The visual quality of it, you can almost have in heightened hearing and feeling through it. And then at the same time, you go into Platonism, into pure idea. So you go from the excitement of the senses and an idea of eternity, and also into the idea of eternity through ideas. The bird bath is also kind of a symbol of kind of a gathering, life energy again, because of the water. This is a mailbox. The mailbox is a symbol of an individual wanting more, wanting transcendence. Maybe it's a symbol of youth and starting to be excited about life, one's own possibility, and wanting more, kind of all revved up wanting more. Again, you have the affirmation of you, the viewer. You have the affirmation of the object. The object falls into the shadows of itself, and you go into Platonism. Plaster's an immediate material. You make mother molds with plaster, so it's so immediate. These pieces are very, very metaphysical, because they're dealing with time. They're dealing with right here in this moment. When you look at the gazing ball, you're reflected in it. If you move, it moves, the reflection. It's right here, right now. But when you go into the reflection, you go into the eternal and you go into the timeless. This is another lawn ornament. You have two lawn ornaments here. You have kind of the gazing ball, and then you have an inflatable that's used just to in the West, in the United States, different holidays, people put inflatables in their yards. These are just symbols of generosity to your neighbor. It's to be generous within your community. This is a gazing ball painting, and my gazing ball paintings are very different than the gazing ball sculptures, and something else happens. There are aluminum shelves that are in the front of the painting. And when we were speaking yesterday about like the Google project, I've used some images from the Google Cultural Project, but also if there's an image that I'm interested in, I'll go into a museum and I'll have a painting photographed. And I will make an image of that painting. Now, it's not really a copy. Even though it is a copy, it's an exact copy, it becomes something in itself. It becomes in its own original, just like within Platonism, where you have like a perfect form. You have like a chair, and a chair is a symbol of all chairs. This painting now with a gazing ball becomes its own identity. It's a gazing ball painting. But a painting like this connects that it affirms you. When you look at the painting, the painting becomes affirmed, but it's about what you think of that image. It's about what you think of that artist. In this case, it's Rubens. And it's about Rubens' humanism. It's about Rubens thinking of Leonardo da Vinci, and Rubens thinking of Ungari, the painting. And that this is his interpretation. This is his painting of this type of configuration of Ungari, the drawing by Leonardo da Vinci. It's about finding something outside the self that's more important than the self. It's about giving of yourself. The ball is working like a third eye there. It's this interface between this world and then going into the eternal. It's metaphysical. It's right here, right now, in the eternal. This is a gazing ball painting of the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo, of course, of Verrocchio, Masaccio, all the artists that he loved, that he would find interest in. But when I look at this, and at first I thought, how can I do the Mona Lisa? It's too cliched to do it. And then I made my prototype, and I look at that, and it's LHOOQ. You know, I'm having a dialogue, a connectivity with Duchamp, with Picabia, with Warhol, this type of humanism and connectivity, all through sheen, shine, and reflection. Through Dionysus, Apollo, this type of German philosophy that I was laying out. And what I've found in my journey in art is that art is a vehicle that lets the viewer, the creator, learn self-acceptance. And that's subjective art. And through self-acceptance, you gain the confidence to go outside and go to a higher realm, to the objective, which is the acceptance of others. Objects are metaphors for people. So I want to thank you. I wanted to speak about my intentions, why I get up in the morning, and why I make something.
So I'm wondering, what are you doing to kind of ensure that these works of art will remain as captivating as they are now in the future? I mean, what do you do for the preservation of your works of art?
I tried to make them with an understanding of conservation, and I always feel moral obligation when I make something for the viewer. I know you'll hear about Steve Jobs with the iPhone or computer, how he spends so much time designing the inside. And it's about a moral commitment that you try to make something the best you can. But I'm trying to make something with a dialogue and to communicate with artists, with the world, and paying the same type of respect and attention. So when I created the image of the Mona Lisa, every detail, every crack, every little piece of maybe just a little piece of orange paint that was there on the surface is there. But it's not the Mona Lisa. It doesn't want to be the Mona Lisa. It's a gazing ball painting. When I installed my exhibition, a lot of the gazing ball paintings were up, but I had a Goltzius painting of Hercules, and the gazing ball wasn't on the painting, and it was crying out for the gazing ball, because it's something else. Again, within Platonism, it's its own form. It's a gazing ball painting, and it has complete and respect for every image that it's working with. It's paying homage, it's connectivity. It's metaphysical. We're bending time and space. And that's the excitement of the pieces. I'm really thrilled that at the Belvedere in Vienna this summer, I'll be showing my Kiss painting with the Klimt Kiss painting. And I think people will have a chance to see how they're their own unique individual objects. Yes?
Jeff, thanks. That was absolutely fascinating. As you were talking about shine and sheen and surface and energy and people gazing at something and seeing a reflection of themselves, I hope you'll excuse me, but I couldn't help thinking of Trumpism and Donald Trump and what is happening in the United States today. And I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on the zeitgeist in those terms.
I find it sad. There's a sadness that entertainment has really penetrated all of our areas of life. And at certain times, it's hard to understand how a public is moved in certain ways, and then you can see it with your own eyes. So that's been kind of very enlightening. But at the same time, you have to give people responsibility to also to wake up, be responsible for themselves, and to have a vision for their own life. I have to say, Hillary was able to show, I think, a lot of appreciation to the art world. She created the Medal for the Arts through the State Department, and has been very supportive of the arts. Any questions? Yes.
Jeff, I wanted to ask you in terms of art and technology. Last time we met, you told about this augmented reality sculpture which you created for the cover of a magazine, a sculpture one could only see using the app. And I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about that and how you use technology also in terms of social media, Instagram.
Technology is a tool. And everybody has always used the technology that's around them. I've always embraced the technology as a tool. But I think that it's really not productive for artists to think that if they just work with the newest technology, their work will be new, will be refreshing and important to society. Art comes from a different place. Art comes from a universal place. It comes through following your interests, focusing on your interests, and it takes you to where this universal vocabulary is. That's what's important. Once you get to that vocabulary, how you exercise those images, those feelings, those thoughts is almost irrelevant. But you should use the tools around you to make it as efficient as possible. Working with some of the sculptures, I will do CAT scans of objects so I can make them from the inside and the outside. I can show this sense of morality, of being able to duplicate something exactly each time. So I know that my second edition of a group of 3 will be the same quality as the third and the first, etc. Technology lets you morph things. Even though I practice complete acceptance and non-judgment, and these objects are metaphors for it, but if I find that something will help me communicate something even more, and I want to adapt something, technology using computers and different tools that we have let us adapt things, whether it's scale or form. And it's kind of interesting in the visual artist to realize that it wasn't that long ago, it was Jurassic Park, when George Lucas was the first to take an image, put it in a computer, manipulate it, and then get the image out of the computer. It wasn't that long ago. Yes?
Hi, I wanted to ask regarding your artwork, the messages behind them, do they come before you start them or after?
It's intuitive. It's very intuitive. I enjoy responding to things, but it's really kind of intuitive thought. And after I'm involved with something, I'm following my interests, and I start to put things together, a vocabulary starts to grow around them. And so I enjoy, to the best of my ability, to articulate the reasons that I see for making my work, what I believe. I've tried to embed certain information within the work. But then society, the viewer, and the viewer always finishes the work. Anneliese Riegel came up with the term, the beholder's share, and the viewer always finishes the work. So they're going to bring other information to it. It's about their transcendence. As an artist, you want to make a work for your transcendence. I want to become. That's what I find exciting in life, to become. But then you want to share that, and it's about the viewer becoming and how they want to transcend, what direction, in what method. That's from their own being. It's their own will.
Jeff, you've been coming to this part of the world, I think, for quite some time, and I wondered whether you could talk about how you've seen arts and culture develop and how you see this part of the world with all the creations of museums, libraries, universities become a kind of new, possibly new cultural access point?
This is Sheikh Amasi. You're right here. I have to say that, yesterday evening, seeing Tsai's show on the art of China, that was the most wonderful exhibit that I've seen of Chinese art, of showing really meaningful contemporary works that really affect you. And I saw it here in Doha. And University City and the opportunity of education. About 5 years ago when I was here, I went and I visited, and they showed me a new concrete that was a byproduct of some of the petroleum industry, but it was a concrete that you could colorize. It was very, very durable, but if you broke something off, you could just mix up a batch, patch it, sand it, and you could never see any division at all. So a tremendous amount of development opportunities are here, and it's embrace of life. Artists love the international life because it's about community, it's about oneness, it's about becoming, it's about generosity, and that's what I'm experiencing always when I'm in Doha.
Jeff, I just wanted to ask a follow-up question. On last night, as I was walking around the exhibition, I was actually watching a lot of people watch you walk around the exhibition, and I wonder I wonder, I wanted to ask you, you already commented on how enthusiastic you were, but did you locate yourself in any of that work? Like, did you feel a sense of dialogue with those artists?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Can you expand on that, like, or any particular pieces?
Yeah, you know, there were so many incredible works. I mean, every artwork there you could get lost in, and you could delve into the world and its relationship within its interior life and the environment it's in. I was very, very fond of the one that had the water hose because of just the dynamic quality of it. The abrasiveness, the disruptive quality, and also the Jules Verne type of quality, at least looking from a Western perspective of this type of box that it was in. But so powerful. I mean, this could have been one of the dragons that Hercules had to face, you know. I want to thank everyone. Oh, okay, one more question.
Hi, Jeff. I was just wondering, as an artist, the starting point is always very difficult. So does your starting point start off with the theme of an exhibition or a commission, or is it something that you just do and then exhibit?
It's a very intuitive process. And, you know, when we were looking at the gazing ball works, the gazing ball paintings, you know, I thought about and wanted to do something with a gazing ball for over 2 decades. And then I decided to do something because I wanted to make something which I felt was the absolute apex of the objective realm with the ready-made. And so many times I'm thinking about things for years at a time, but it's very, very intuitive. I never start off with that I have to do something, because if I do, that's design. Because design comes from kind of some outside influence that's present. But if you, so, you know, there's certain, I could go and see a site-specific place and, you know, can you come up with something? And you take, but sometimes it just takes time. And, you know, you try to see if, what you can do with it. But for me, it's a very intuitive process. What I'm making today, I thought about at least for 2 years. Yes?
As artists, we usually fall under working with the same medium. We get comfortable. How often did you work with mediums you don't like?
I don't work with them. I just work with mediums that I'm kind of attracted to. And, you know, I've enjoyed surfaces that are reflective, because it's a way to connect with the viewer and to go through this almost visually intoxicating, where you have to go through distortion and abstraction and affirmation. But then I can also work with a material like porcelain that I've enjoyed, kind of the grandness, the tension that's within the work. But, you know, I'm kind of, my time is up. But thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.